Some of the things that we found with curriculum is the lack of articulation between and among your elementary buildings and then the transition to your intermediate, middle school, and high school. There needs to be more communication. And if you have a school that's doing extremely well in a particular area, you need to build on that. You don't need to rediscover what is already good and what's happening within your school district. Your professional development, for example, each of your schools, yes, have individual problems that they need to address. But one of the common themes through all of this is addressing the needs of the diverse learner. And whether it be a cultural diversity or a learning diversity, that you have to maximize and take each child, because when you're looking at AYP or if you're looking at a growth model, every child counts. And it doesn't matter if you're in an economically disadvantaged subgroup, if you're in an LEP, if you're in an African American, Asian, it doesn't matter. Every child counts, and sometimes it's just the difference of one or two children that can throw your statistics out of whack. So with that in mind, and I think one of you had indicated about having individual education plans, zeroing in on the needs of what are the specific needs of a child. And it's a very difficult task, and I'm sure if districts had the answer to it, we wouldn't be sitting at this table tonight, you know, struggling with this. The data that was presented tonight, that's the first step. You've got to keep asking why. Once you know why the numbers are the way they are, what is your next step? How are you going to address the anomalies between the different subgroups, and where are you going in order to improve instruction? Your superintendent had indicated HOTS, higher order thinking skills. You may talk about Bloom's taxonomy, where you're asking for a higher order thinking skills. No longer are we expecting kids just to give back rote information. It's no longer true-false questions. It's no longer multiple choice. It's open-ended questions. And you're to the point where you need to be having questions that are in analysis, synthesis, and all the way up to the higher levels. The lower levels, it doesn't cut the mustard anymore. And everyone keeps talking about rigor, and it's not there. And whether it be you as a board, your superintendent, your principals, supervisors, teachers, aides, support staff, everyone has to take ownership of this problem. It's not that you can point your finger at anyone. It's a community that needs to rally around, and whether it's your custodians, everyone, all the way through, and ultimately, it's your responsibility to be asking the questions, why? What are we doing next? And every decision you make as a board, it's important that you have data to back up that decision. You can't just go on a gut feeling and say, oh, it feels right. That is no longer the mode of operation. One of the things, in fact, this is the first that even your superintendent is getting this letter. This pretty much outlines the process. We were here on several visits, and what we did is the district went through a self-analysis. And they took the QSAC document and they scored themselves as to where they felt they were on, it was approximately 300 and some odd numbers of DPRs, and they were questions, and they all fell within those 5 areas. If you scored below 80% on any one area, you were required to do a district improvement plan. The district has submitted a district improvement plan, and I'm returning it. I'm asking for more work to be done with it, and I will be meeting with the superintendent and your staff to be asking the questions why and how you're going to accomplish. And very many of the things were just regurgitating what was wrong, but not how you were going to correct it. It didn't sometimes indicate the timelines as to when you thought you were going to be able to accomplish it. You may want to take some of these things and say, okay, we can do some of these in a flash. Okay, get them off of the front burner and put them aside. There are going to be some things that's going to take day after day, year after year. You did not get to this point overnight, and you're not going to correct them overnight, and it's going to take time. I can't tell you with a crystal ball of how much time is the right amount of time, because you're dealing with a child's life and their future. And we don't have the luxury to say, well, this has been an occurrence that has been 25 years in the making. Because if you look at 25 years, you're looking at, what is a child in school for 12 years? 2 generations that you say that it's going to take in order to recapture. So you don't have that luxury. So you are running at a quick double step or whatever step you want to take. I've gone through, and you are all intelligent people. I'm not going to read the highlights of this, but I do want to point out, and these are in no way any kind of priority of what is more important one way or the other. One of the things, and I mentioned it before, about meaningful instruction and reaching the needs of all kids. That is pretty much the common theme through all of the recommendations that I'm making in my letter to you. You have, it's called intervention and referral services, and that's pretty much a middle step that you take as a district before you classify students. As a district, you need to be doing more with this program and doing more to develop Tier 1 services, Tier 2 services for the kids before you put them into a child study team or a special ed placement. Many of your children have behavioral needs. It's all too easy to say, out, get out of my class, go to the office. That's not an answer. The classroom teacher is the first line of defense, and problems have